You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Challenge us at Wexford Insurances 0818 31 30 30.
Welcome back to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with me, Karl Fitzpatrick. I'm now joined in studio by the Assistant Acting CEO of Wexford County Enterprise Board, Breege Cosgrave. Good morning, Breege, and thank you very much for joining me this morning.
Morning, Karl. It's a pleasure to be here.
Breege, you might start by telling me a little bit about your own background, please.
Okay, originally I'm from Sligo, so I'm a non-native from Wexford. I'm married to a Wexford man and I have 4 children, so I've been in Wexford, I say, for over 20 years at this stage, and have had my family obviously here. I've been working with the Enterprise Board for the last 15 odd years, and as that role, I suppose, I have been kind of working in both an administrative role and to the latter working directly with businesses on everything from projects to business ideas to helping with business plans, organising events such as the network events, and just generally, I suppose, providing supports for anybody in business.
Now, the reason I've asked you into the studio this morning is to discuss the upcoming Women in Business Network meeting taking place next Friday. But firstly, you might just provide our listeners with some background to Women in Business Networking Initiative, please.
Okay. The Women in Business Network Initiative has been organised by the Enterprise Board, I suppose, for probably about the last 5 to 6 years. And what we try and do is come up with a number of network events throughout the year, whereby women can kind of get together. We would divide the network event itself into 2 sections. One section would be a case study of a successful female entrepreneur. And I suppose the purpose of that would be to provide kind of motivation, inspiration, and you just learn a lot from somebody who has been out there and done this. So that's one section. Then the second section of the network event would be where we'd invite along a guest speaker, and they could talk on any topics from taxation to marketing to, in this instance, the one coming up, to branding. So it's really a combination of women supporting each other, I suppose, in growing and in some cases getting their business off the ground.
The initiative itself has been very, very successful, and I suppose why, in your opinion, has it appealed to women across the county so much?
Well, I think one of the factors is women in business, how they get into business can be slightly different from men, in that we would have a lot of women that would start maybe on a more part-time basis due to maybe family commitments, etc. And the part-time nature in some instances appeals to them because they can combine that obviously with child rearing, etc. So they can maybe, if it's an online business, they can run a lot of it in the evenings or maybe at weekends. So I suppose that's one of the areas. And you know, anybody out there at the moment, it is tough, especially trying to raise finance and some of those issues. But it's that support, and often you would find that somebody has a very good idea but might know, you know, who can do the printing for me or who can support me in PR or some areas. So that's what a network is all about. You know, you get as much as you're going to put into it.
I know one of the key objectives of the initiative itself is to provide support structures for women in business. Can you explain what these supports are and how they can be of benefit?
Okay. Well, I suppose from our point of view as well, it's getting information out there as an agency. We're an Enterprise Board, one of 35 throughout the county. And we're there in a supportive role. Like, I think some people aren't even aware that an enterprise board exists. So we're there to even discuss business ideas. Where do I go from here? How do I access supports? How do I access funding in some instances? You know, even simply, you know, somebody to review your business plan, have a look at it, maybe look at costing, pricing, avail of our training programs. We have a whole range of training programs, everything, as I said, from social media right through to start your own business, a number of clinic type scenarios, all geared to help a small business. And even the likes of mentoring, you know, whereby you need a skill in a particular area. A typical one with that would be, say, intellectual property. I need to take out a patent. It's an area that most people wouldn't be overly familiar with, but, you know, to get that sort of support is a phenomenal support to a small business.
Okay, that's certainly true. Now, the event that's coming up next Friday, tell me a bit about that, please.
Okay, we have two speakers at this event. The first one is Giuliana Walters, and Giuliana set up her own business in Gorey, I think in 2009. And Giuliana, her business is The Place in Gorey, and it's a fashion boutique for ladies. And former to that, Giuliana was a key buyer in Selfridges. She has been an international stylist. She's worked with the likes of Vogue, etc. So it's a phenomenal wealth of experience in business that she will be bringing to the network event. And also she's going to be giving a little bit of advice on the fun side, I suppose, of, dressing for business success. Because I suppose if you're talking about the whole area of branding, in a lot of cases as an individual or a woman in business, you are the brand. So it's, how to, I suppose, make the most of ourselves. I think we can all do with that. Yeah. Our second speaker is Pat McCarthy, and Pat McCarthy has his own design studio up in Inistioge in Kilkenny. And Pat's background, again, he had worked in the whole area of retail design, fashion trends, branding, merchandising. He would have worked with such outlets as Avoca, Kilkenny Design Shop, QVC, which would be an international buyer in the US, Liberties in London, McGee. So Pat is going to talk about the whole area of branding and see how we can maybe brand our businesses more successfully, and even look at individual products and the impact successful branding can have on a business.
And from your own experience, is branding a challenge for businesses across County Wexford?
It can be, because I think sometimes people set up a business and they're so focused on the overall business idea that they get a little bit swamped. Maybe it's manufacturing, it's a craft product, and it's, I need to produce, and I need to sell. But sometimes taking a step back and seeing, well, how can I create a successful brand for myself? How can I add value to it? And that's really what business is all about, is the adding value aspect. So, Pat has a wealth of experience in this area. Even to present a project successfully. Just recently, he worked with a group that went exhibited at Showcase in Dublin in the RDS, and he looked at everything from their packaging right through to the actual product itself and the quality of the product, and it made a huge difference to those individuals exhibiting. So I think the support is there, so people should certainly avail of it. And, you're always going to gain something by listening to experts in a field. And it's as much as what you take away from it and implement in your own business. Is
this event aimed at a particular cohort of business people? Is it more aimed towards retailers than anything else, sir?
No. Well, branding goes across all spheres. It just happened to be that one of the speakers is in the retail area, but our network event would have cross-section from anyone from manufacturing right through to service industry. And again, you see, you have a great opportunity to meet other businesses as well, and these potentially are your clients. So that's really what it's all about.
Okay, you mentioned that Giuliana Walters will be speaking on the topic of dress for business success. Can clothing still make an impact in the business world today?
Well, I suppose if you think of it, when you meet somebody, first impressions do count. It's not as if you have to spend a fortune, and I think that's one of the areas Giuliana is going to address. But we have to present ourselves as best we can. And certainly we owe it to ourselves and to our businesses to do that. Okay, we all have our off days, but on balance, we would hope to present ourselves well. But it is. I think it is still important. And customer service. I can't emphasize that enough. It is competitive out there, and it's right through from that initial contact right through to the follow up. Those things are becoming more and more important. They're not going to come to us unless we present ourselves well and get out there and aim to please the customer as much as possible.
On the organisational side, is there much organisation behind organising an event like this for Wexford County Enterprise Board?
Well, we do. I suppose it's coming up with speakers that are topical, that are of interest to a broad section. We've been lucky so far that we have any amount of speakers. Unfortunately, it is time restrictive because we have only 4 people in our organisation, so there's a hell of a lot of work to be done. So it does take quite a bit of organising. But again, some of the women in the business grouping already have assisted. With events and even coming up with speakers. So we'd be delighted to hear of people, coming up with their own ideas in terms of who should be speaking.
In relation to the rest of 2013, have you many other women in business networking events planned?
Okay. Well, we're hoping to have an event to coincide with International Women's Day, and we will be sending out details of that. We're just finalising speakers at the moment. And again, we have another event coming up in March. I think it's the 23rd of March. So we have a mail list at the moment of about 330 business women. So we will be sending out details and posting them on our website on that.
Excellent. And what are your hopes for the initiative going forward?
More women will get into business and, grow their business and maybe turn part-time businesses into full-time. And again, it's really about job creation and getting Indigenous small businesses off the ground.
Over the last number of years, is there any particular sector or industry that stands out as one that seems to attract more females than males?
I suppose the service industries and small-scale manufacturing. I've just noticed that there seems to be a lot of people setting up their own businesses from their kitchens, basically making chutneys and everything from cakes to you name it. There seems to be quite a few of those, and craft. Again, is another area. We've had some fabulous designer. Just as an example, there was Blaheen Ennis, and she exhibited in Showcase there, and she does fashion accessories, earrings and necklaces and stuff like that. But she was recently featured there with Nicole Scherzinger, wore her pieces at an event there. So it's amazing how in Ireland we can get out there, But there's some fabulous women out there, that just need a bit of encouragement. And
Breege, in your own opinion, how has the perception of women in business changed over the years? And what are the obstacles still facing entrepreneurs out there today?
I think the perception is beginning to change, and I suppose if you look around, and I've often noticed it myself at network events, as a woman, in an advisory capacity, there don't tend to be a huge number of women. It has changed, I think, in that the overall population are taking business women more seriously. And I think they're just proving their success and how they do it. And probably because of the economy the way it is at the moment, there's more options and people are more accepting of people setting up their businesses in different ways, that it doesn't have to be a stereotypical business that runs Monday to Friday So I think I certainly think the perception is changing, and that if you even look at the Global Enterprise Monitor, it is slowly but surely the rate of female entrepreneurship is increasing. And, even from outside Ireland internationally, particularly the US, they're just saying, certainly women in the future are going to be a force to be reckoned with in terms of, from a business perspective. And the other aspect, I think, is for years you would have found a lot with kind of owner-managers that there was a female in the background, somewhere on the payroll, that was taking a very leading role, but not necessarily was the owner of the business. So I would hope, certainly I think it's a great time for a woman to be in business, and, they can do a fantastic job. And I hope I don't come across a bit feminist, but I really do think, some of the obstacles women have overcome as well has been phenomenal, because they are combining, in some cases, child rearing, etc., with a very successful business model.
At this stage of the interview, we're almost out of time, but before we finish, I'd like you just to summarise the event details for next Friday's Women in Business event, please, Breege.
Okay. Well, the event is on in the Seafield Golf and Spa Hotel in Ballymoney in Gorey. It's open to all women in business or those thinking of starting a business. The event is kicking off at 10 o'clock, and we will start with registration and networking, and then that will be followed on with the 2 guest speakers, Pat McCarthy from Pat McCarthy Studio and Giuliana Walters from The Place in Gorey. And to attend the event, if you could either email Wexford County Enterprise Board at info@wexfordceb.ie, or alternatively phone 053 9122965. And I should add, the cost of attending is €10, which can be paid on the day or alternatively through the office.
You're listening to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick in association with Wexford Insurances. Think Wexford Insurances for your business insurance.